Project 2025 isn't just about policies. It's about controlling women's bodies and choices. But women have always fought back against oppression, and this time will be no different. We're resilient, we're loud, and we're not going anywhere. So let's do what we do best: fight like hell, support each other, and make sure the next generation of women has more freedom, not less.
Hey there, this is Women on the Brink. I'm your host, Chris Jeffrey, a registered acupuncturist and wellness advisor with a passion for helping women live happier and more balanced lives. When I'm away from work, I'm usually outside in nature, either walking the seawall or I'm hiking in the mountains. And like many of you, my life has been filled with moments of hardship, some that I thought I couldn't overcome and really left me questioning my own strength. But through these challenges, I discovered resilience, courage, and a renewed sense of purpose. So I'm here to share not just my journey, but the lessons I've learned, and to remind you that no matter what obstacles come your way, there's always a path forward. And just to let you know, this podcast is not prescriptive. It's an offering. So please take what resonates with you and leave the rest.
Welcome back to Women on the Brink. In light of March 8th being International Women's Day, this week we're going to discuss Project 2025, or as I like to call it, how to accelerate the Handmaid's Tale in 4 years or less with some help from the Mad Men culture. I think it's a timely topic because a lot of us don't really know how this is going to impact women and what we can do about it. These unknowns can be very stressful no matter where you are in the world. I know for myself, I've been losing sleep over this. But knowledge is power, and that's why I want to talk about this today. So what even is Project 2025? Picture this. It's like the worst ex you've ever had, your least favorite boss, and a televangelist all got together to rewrite a 920-page public policy in the United States. The goal? Control everything. Slash democracy, roll back women's rights to the 1960s, and tighten the grip on LGBTQ2S and racial equality. This initiative is led by the Heritage Foundation, and they're a group with a long history of fighting against progress. So this plan isn't just about power, it's really making sure only certain people have it. So under Project 2025, the ultimate dream job for women is Housewife Inc. And spoiler alert, the pay is still $0. Okay, that's not literally what it's called, but let's be real, that's going to be the vibe. They want to undo reproductive rights, cut workplace protections for women, and encourage strong traditional families, also known as no more independence for us ladies. You want maternity leave? Nah, just be grateful you have kids in the first place. Equal pay? Adorable. Now go ask your husband for an allowance like a good 1950s housewife. Birth control? Ha! That's between you, your doctor, and a panel of conservative men who think the female anatomy and physiology is a fabricated illusion. And you can bet your life that female hysteria will be back in medical textbooks, so we had better get the Valium and antidepressants stocked up now. But honestly, it's kind of flattering when you think about it. I mean, if a group of wealthy, influential men are spending this much time trying to control us, we must be terrifyingly powerful. I mean, it really speaks to the impact of our choices and the unstoppable force of women who refuse to shrink themselves to fit someone else's outdated narrative. If we weren't a threat to the status quo, they wouldn't be working this so hard to hold us back, right? Conservative men thrive in a world where they call the shots. And if women have autonomy over our bodies and our careers and our lives, they lose control. If we don't need a husband for financial security, they lose leverage. If we decide when or if we have kids, they lose control over population and, in quotations, traditional family structures. And just hold on a minute. Why haven't the family lives of Trump and Musk, divorce, drama, and a few too many, oops, I forgot about that kid, moments been closely scrutinized by the Republicans who wrote this project? Yeah, truly the model all Americans should be aspiring to. And if we women hold leadership roles, the conservative men will lose the ability to dominate politics and business. So, really, every time a woman makes an independent choice, a Republican lawmaker somewhere is clutching his ball sack.
Ooh, no.
So many conservative men were raised in a system that favored them by default. So when women demand a level playing field, these guys are panicking. Equal pay? That means their salaries are the automatic gold standard. More women in politics? That means their boys' club loses influence. Women calling out sexism? That means these guys have to actually watch what they do and say instead of getting a free pass. So for these insecure willies, progress feels like a loss because they're used to winning by default. And get this, women hold political power and they know it. Women have registered and voted at higher rates than men in every presidential election since 1980, with the turnout gap between women and men growing slightly larger with each successive presidential election. And women tend to support policies that protect rights, protect equality and social progress, things conservative men actually fight against. So if women vote freely, these guys lose elections. If women run for office, we push for change. If women unite, we can dismantle the systems that keep them in control. This is why they push voter suppression and gerrymandering and policies that make it harder for women, especially women of color, to have political influence. And as we know only too well from historical perspective, patriarchal power has relied on women not questioning the system. Stay quiet about harassment, accept less pay in your lot in life. Don't challenge authority. But most modern women, we're educated, we're outspoken, and we're pissed off.
Not my president! Not my president! Not my president! Not my president!
And that scares them more than anything. So we women who will be speaking out and acting out will be vilified, much like the witches in Europe during the 16th century. Yeah, remember them? Maybe Project 2025 won't burn us at the stake, but you can sure bet that they'll develop ways to quell our fire. And I think that's at the heart of it. The biggest fear of these conservative males is this: if women are truly free, they don't need conservative men at all. We don't need them to tell us how to live. We don't need them to define our worth. We don't need their outdated policies dictating our futures. And deep down, they know that. That's why they're scrambling so hard to hold on to control. Because once women take up the space we deserve, their grip on power crumbles. And honestly, it's about damn time. Stay with us after the break to discover how we can stay in our power and push back against Project 2025.
Join us on our website for articles from our podcasts at www.womenonthebrink.net. There you'll find extra tools that can be used to raise self-awareness and build resilience. We want to make this experience as interactive as possible for you Brinkers. So join the forums, introduce yourself, and share your stories.
So as Project 2025 becomes a reality, women are facing a serious uphill battle to protect our rights. But here's the thing, we're fighters, and this isn't the first time we've had to push back against oppressive forces. And if anything, we've gotten really, really good at it. So here's what we can do to stop Project 2025 from rolling back our rights and freedoms. And the first thing is mobilize, organize, and vote like our lives depend on it, because our lives do depend on it. And so do our granddaughters, our nieces, our daughters, everybody. Women are the largest voting demographic in the US and Canada. So we need to make sure we're voting in every election, and whether that's a local election, a state, or provincial and federal. We can't afford to sit this out. This is not even an option. Vote with your dollar by not supporting companies that fund Trump's political campaigns. And here in Canada and elsewhere in the world, we can stop buying American products and choose to travel to places outside of the United States. You know, as Canadians, our dollar goes much further in Central and South America, parts of Europe and Asia. So, yeah, again, mobilize, organize voter registration drives, get your friends involved, and make sure everyone knows the stakes. Women's rights are on the ballot every time we vote. And you know what? We've got a federal election here in Canada this year. So let's make sure that women's voices are heard. Talk about it with your friends. And if you're really ambitious, run for office. I mean, if you want to make real change, sometimes you've got to be the one at the table. More women in political office means more policies protecting our rights and not stripping them away. And here's another thing. We've got to push back on those reproductive rights. We got to defend abortion rights. So try and support reproductive health organizations that are on the front lines that provide education and resources and access to birth control. Fundraise and volunteer. Help organizations like Planned Parenthood, the American Civil Liberties Union, and the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, and other reproductive justice groups who are directly fighting for women's bodily autonomy. And then educate yourself, share information, and have these uncomfortable conversations. Like once we start to talk about it with people in our community, especially those who might not even be aware of the long-term consequences of Project 2025, I mean, the more people know, the more likely they're going to push back. It's not going to help anybody to be paralyzed by fear or apathy. I mean, just think about what the alternatives are. So make sure that when you're in your women's circles and when you're with your friends, that these topics are being brought up. I discovered that many women don't always know where to begin, but it can just start with a really simple conversation. And we really need to educate younger generations. So make sure that they understand the hard-won rights women over the past century fought for and why we need to keep fighting to maintain them. I have to say, most of the younger women in my life are the ones that are educating me these days. I love it. So keep these conversations at the forefront of your discussions and use social media. I mean, we've got the platform, and that means using it to spread awareness and call out misinformation and support causes that are fighting for women's rights. I mean, share this episode of Women on the Brink with all the women in your life. It's a start, right? And we really need to support intersectional movements. So Project 2025 will disproportionately affect women of color, Indigenous women, LGBTQ2S+ women, and other marginalized groups. We got to fight for all women. We really need to support movements for racial and gender justice. You know, as Project 2025 threatens the right of queer women, standing in solidarity with the LGBTQ2S+ community is crucial in keeping everyone safe. And we really need to take to the streets and to the courts, like protest, join marches against policies or laws that threaten our rights. You know, thousands of women gathered just recently, February 14th of this year, for the Women's Memorial March in Vancouver. In the 34 years since its inception, this march has grown to include women and men and people of all colors and gender diversification. And this is what's really needed, a massive show of force to make it clear that we're not going to sit down and shut up.
No. Nope.
And then litigate. Get involved with organizations that are taking legal action against unjust lawsuits. The courts have been a critical battleground for women's rights, and we'll need to keep them in check if Project 2025 attempts to strip us of our freedoms. Build communities of support where women can be heard, share resources, offer solidarity. I mean, this is a fight that requires unity. So if you see a woman in need, we need to help her out. And as this battle ramps up, don't forget to take care of yourself. Women's rights movements are long haul fights, and we need to be at our best, both physically and mentally, to keep pushing forward. And lastly, don't forget to laugh. The more absurd these policies get, the more important it is to maintain a sense of humor, because humor helps us cope and connect and stay resilient. And it's a really great way to highlight how ridiculous this project really is. So the bottom line, Project 2025 isn't just about policies. It's about controlling women's bodies and choices. But women have always fought back against oppression, and this time will be no different. We're resilient, we're loud, and we're not going anywhere. So let's do what we do best: fight like hell, support each other, and make sure the next generation of women has more freedom, not less. Project 2025 is basically a conservative fanfic where they make themselves the heroes and democracy the villain. And the only way to stop it? Mock it, fight it, and maybe throw a feminist bake sale where all the cookies spell out "piss off, fascism." Anyway, thanks for listening to my rant on Project 2025. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it, subscribe it, and most importantly, stay angry, stay funny, and stay fighting. Catch you next time.
Thanks for joining, and I want you to know that this isn't just a podcast, this is a movement. So share this information with your friends, and let's go, ladies.